Welcome to the stage, Andrew Smith. Come on.
What? Ah, Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming to my talk. Pretty nervous, but hopefully you'll learn something new. Hold on. So I said before, I'm Andrew Smith. So the 16, 16, and 3 represent years. So he said he doesn't know how old I am. That's my age, added up together. Right, so I've lived in Jamaica for 16 years. That's where I was born. That's where I grew up. Moved to the UK when I was 16. Lived in the UK for 16 years. Now I'm living in Ghana. Don't act. Don't ask me why is it 16, 16, 16. It just happened. It wasn't planned. It was an unplanned thing, and it turns out that I was there for 16 years. So maybe I'll be in Ghana for 16 years. Then I'll move on again. I'm also a core team member of a Java PHP framework called Slim. Um, so let's get into the talk. Life has never felt better. Let's take a look at the meaning of the word svelte itself. It means slender or elegant. What is svelte? It's a JavaScript library compiler frameworky thing. The reason why I say it's a compiler is because unlike other JavaScript libraries or frameworks, it actually does ahead of time compilation of your code before it presents it to the user. So before you even put your code out there, it's run through a compiler to make sure you get the most performant code that you can. Svelte was created by this guy called Rich Harris. He works at the New York Times. He created it because he needed a tool to be able to deliver interactive news articles in a more efficient way for the readers. He's also popularly known in the JavaScript community for creating a JavaScript bundler called Rollup. So these are the reasons I thought of why someone would or should use Svelte. I thought, you already have skills of, if you're a developer, you already probably know HTML, you probably know a bit of CSS, you probably know a bit of JavaScript. These are the foundation that Svelte is built upon. It's built on the basic knowledge that you already have and built on top of that. The JavaScript is a little bit more it's kind of like it added a bit of sugar on top of what you already know, but you'll see as I go through and show you the examples. So this is your first Svelte kind of application thingy. It's, as you can see, it's just normal HTML. You run that through the compiler, you'll get the result will just be hello world. I know you could just write this in HTML without needing a compiler thing, but I'll expand on it later on so you can see more. But in some other frameworks, you're required to write a function in order to do this. So here we've introduced some JavaScript where now you can see that we are substituting the name for a variable. So that can be interchanged as you go along. The curly bracket thingy, it looks a bit unfamiliar maybe to some of you, but some of you who've written in different JavaScript framework would have been familiar with it before. So the curly thing is, it's called a mustache. So it's like a mustache turned sideways. Think about it. So it's that thing. There are template tags that came from a template library, originally came from a template library called Mustache itself, and a lot of the JavaScript frameworks now use it. You'll see it in stuff like React, in stuff like Vue.js, or in AngularJS. So here, inside of those curly brackets, you can write actual JavaScript expressions. So in this example, you can see I've told it to change the name to be uppercase. So now we have the hello world. The world is now large. Everything is all uppercase. Right? You can write basically anything you can write in JavaScript, you can write in those curly brackets. Now in Svelte, this is how you'd add your CSS in as well. You could add it all in the one file. This is called a single file component, where you add your CSS, your JavaScript, and your HTML. It prevents file switching. I mean, when you're working on a project, you don't really want to be switching between different files to work out what you're writing. You can see everything in this one file, and it just works. So React popularized the idea of state-driven user interfaces, and Svelte has kind of built upon that. It's continued with the whole idea of when a state changes in your code, then something should happen. I'll show you an example next. So here we have a button. Actually, it's a bit too light, but in the bottom left, your left, where it says add whirl, that's a button. We've added some events onto it that when you click the button, the count should increment. So where it says count 0, it should become 1, 2, 3, and so on. So you see, if you click the button, it says hello world 1, hello world 2, and so forth. Here's another concept that Svelte has called computed properties. These allow you to create a derived state from existing state. So here we're doubling up the count each time someone presses the button. So each time you press the button, the count becomes double. So if it was 1, then it'll be 2. If it's 2, then it becomes 4. So we're multiplying it each time. So Svelte allows you to catch most of your errors at compile time. So if you're writing code and there's a bug in the code, you'd probably see the bug before the code gets into production. So before you publish this website or this web app, you'd have seen the error and be able to fix it. So you wouldn't be publishing buggy code. How this helps is, like, if you're using something like a CI, a continuous integration engine, or a pipeline, then throughout that pipeline, you can tell it to check for errors within the Svelte code. And if there's an error, then you say, okay, don't publish the site because there's an error. And the developer is aware so they can fix it. These are some of the things that you get out of the box with Svelte. You get transitions and animations. You get client and server-side rendering. And it's JavaScript-ish, because it's not really fully JavaScript. It's kind of like its own little language that uses JavaScript, because some of the stuff that's done inside of Svelte isn't your practical everyday JavaScript. They have a website with some examples. How do I switch to that? So this is a Svelte website. They have a tutorial section where you can go through and learn about Svelte. It's like a step-by-step introduction. You get different steps of how to use the library, the framework itself. And these are some of the example codes that they have. So this is the transition stuff. So you see it fades in and fades out. By simply just adding the word transition and fade to an item, then wrap it into a if statement. Oh, switching back. So yeah, that's Svelte in a nutshell from me. I know the lightning was a bit quick, but that was it. And there I am on Twitter and on GitHub.
Thank you very much.